Well, Barry, I have a question for you this week. And of course, you don't know what the question is. So we'll just kind of roll with it. And I'll ask a question, then I'll turn it over to your wisdom and understanding.
Oh,
What
hallelujah.
do we do? What do we do with a generation of people who go through their whole day with not a thought about the God that created them? They look around them, see the beauty of creation, but never give thanks. Their life is one of just routine, waking up in the morning, going through the things that they do, never giving a thought to the one that is directing their steps, the one that's blessed their steps. How do you talk to that person about the Almighty? Or is it possible to talk to that person about the Almighty?
Well, you use the term generation. That's a very large generation because it's not a particular age group.
Yeah.
I've encountered this person most of my adult life in one facet or the other. So they are apathetic toward things spiritual and totally involved in things physical, and that's it.
And if they are, and yes, I do say generation, because I'm talking about the complete generation that we have upon the earth. I'm not narrowing this down to the millennials or this group or that group, because I see the same attitude in people that I know that are in their 70s as I do with people that are in their teens. The people who are in their 20s, 30s, 40s. It's the same thing across the generation, across the ages, that the average person that is alive today has no understanding of why they're alive today.
Well, I got three thoughts here, three short
Okay.
ones.
I'll mute myself and take a little nap and wake me up when you're done.
The first thing is uh, live my life out loud in front of them.
Good counsel.
So that does not mean preaching every opportunity, voicing hallelujahs and praise the Lord's every chance that I get. It is demonstrating the hope and the joy and the light of Yeshua in my daily life, whether that's with words or just actions, kindness, listening to them. Sometimes, one of the greatest witnesses that you can ever offer someone is to listen to them. And they're going to throw out their profanity and they're going to choose subjects that you don't want to listen to. But the moment you get all religious on them and throw up your defense wall and say, well, if you're going to talk like that, I'm not going to listen to you. Yeah. Well, you just shut off the door. I'm sure that Yeshua would have preferred not to have heard some things that he heard. He didn't strike them down. He tried to find a place that he could relate to them. A second thing that you can do is to intercede for them. Now, that doesn't mean you walk up to them and say, I've been praying for you. It's a case of not letting your right hand know what the left hand is doing.
Yeah.
You pray, you intercede, and ask the Father to soften their hearts to see your example and hear the inflection of his voice in your words. And the third thing you can do is to be available. Because life hits everybody equally. It rains on the just and the unjust.
True.
Circumstances will eventually arise in all of our lives to where it hurts. Anyone who's lived any length of time would tell you life can hurt. That being the case, when they're hurting, if you're there for them and prove yourself compassionate, encouraging, helpful in some way, that goes a long ways in giving validity to who you are. So, the idea that you need to hand them a tract or wear a witness wear T-shirt every time you get a chance around them, or let them, I've been praying for you today. I just want you to know you're prayed for today. Hallelujah. The word says, and you quote
Yeah.
Paul in King James English. That doesn't really go a long ways these days. There may have been a time, but it really doesn't go that far these days.
Okay, I like your 3 points there. I think you probably preach on those, and come up with a pretty good benediction at the end, and altar call for those to develop relationship with those around them. No, I seriously, I think it's a great answer, right off the cuff, considering you had no idea what I was going to ask you. So what you're talking about is something we go back to all the time: is relationship. So is it bad to you're talking about prayer, intercession, and availability. We can't pray for someone that we don't know, not intelligently.
Right.
We can't pray for a person that we have not developed any kind of relationship with. So if I develop a relationship with a person and they somehow, like I've got a friend of mine that's going in for a surgery on, he got some skin cancer, going in for a surgery tomorrow. I'll probably send him a text in the morning and say, just wanted you to know I was praying for you, and mean it. That's not a religious thing. That's just a place of concern. It's a place of trying to be a part of someone's life. And yeah, you're right. There was a time in which people would come to you and say, I'm doing something. Would you mind praying for me, praying with me? That doesn't happen these days. But just to slip out something and say, I know that your family's going through some things, and because you've told me this, and I just want you to know I'm going to be praying for you in the next week. I mean, who really is going to kick back at that? Well, I do know some people. Yeah, I do. But there are some people that are out there that would say, well, whatever, because they're in that other crowd, that atheistic crowd, that doesn't want to have anything to do, and their one holiday of the year that they celebrate is April Fool's Day, because a fool has said in their heart, there is no Elohim. But that's another subject entirely. Okay, here's the next group. What about the flippant religious? You want me to explain that one?
No, I think I got an idea. I mean, when you say that, Mike, immediately what comes to mind, I go back a dozen years or so when I was working in a retail public setting. And the business that I worked in, a music merchandising business, we would often have the professional Christian to come in. And I don't mean this in a disparaging way toward Christianity as a whole. But there
No,
were
basically,
certain,
it's the pastor looking for a discount on music equipment.
we could look out the front window and see someone get out of their vehicle and say, there's a pastor.
Yeah.
We knew them by their hairdo, their haircut. Honestly, there's a certain
Yeah.
presentation, and when they came through the door, almost 90% of the time, you could tell who they were.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. They would ask about sound equipment, someone to come in and do an evaluation of what they had. We need some new microphones, etc. And you pull it up, and they say, "I'm pastor so and so from such and such church. Do you give church discount?" I love the owner's line. We don't charge you any more than anyone else.
Yeah.
We don't charge you more for being a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And they would just kind of stand there and look dumbfounded at him.
Oh, yeah.
And they didn't get it. You know, the prices were already more competitive than what you could find online and have shipped in. That was the key to the success of that particular business. There was a few of them that got it, but most did not.
No.
Mike, I will never forget someone else who worked there. We were all gathered at the front over the process of making a sale. And when the religious person walked out the door, I heard under their breath the other person mutter to himself, I heard it though, Christians, I hate them.
Oh, yeah.
But they told me personally, I respect you for the way you live your life.
Mm-hmm.
And when I said, well, you know, I know you're going through something other, and I've been praying for you, they were appreciative.
Oh, yeah.
Emotionally so.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not trying to elevate myself above the standard presentation, but we don't understand at times. And I had this realization, like, how offensive I used to be as the traditional pastor, and my verbiage and my arrogant presentation about, you know, you can just see it. I'm saved and you're not. Bless God, brother. You need me to help you.
Yeah.
And that mindset wears on our face. My kids tell me all the time, Daddy, your thoughts are too loud on your face. So we do that, Mike. When we talk about a flippant Christian, though, one who has a belief system, but it's very casual and its application are very domineering, and it lacks being genuine and authentic about people. Yeshua presented himself as having compassion. When he saw the sick, the word says he had compassion on them. When he saw that people were hungry, out of compassion, he said, we can't send these people home without feeding them. Give me what you got and let's feed them. Mm-hmm. He was compassionate. He listened to people. If you got a need, the woman in the city of Nain who's weeping as her only son is being carried to a tomb and she has no other means of provision. He could have passed by and said, blessing be upon you, woman. Mm-hmm. But he raised her son. Yaakov, James says that genuine religion has impact.
Yeah.
You don't just say, well, be blessed and be clothed and be fed. You do something about it.
And, you know, it may sound judgmental, okay, when I say a flippant Christian, because what I'm talking about is someone that really, you don't see depth. I'm not questioning that they have a relationship. I'm not questioning their love. I'm not questioning their motives. But their very basic nature is this very shallow. Let me give you an example. And this is where this whole thing came from. Monday, I played golf Monday morning, and there's a men's league that plays on Monday. It's some of the guys that I know most of them, but this guy, I'm coming down one fairway. This guy comes all the way across from another fairway in a cart because they all do carts. I'm part of the exercise crowd there, but he comes all the way across, just kind of rides up to me with a guy in the cart next to him and goes, I got a question for you. It's like, okay. He says, and here's how he said it. And I mentioned this the other day on the on our maiden voyage of Life on Purpose that's coming out probably this week. He looks at me and goes, do you have Jesus in your heart? And I just stared at him. You know, I just stared at it. This is not the first time that he's done something like this. And I didn't know how to respond, Barry. And you know, it's a long pregnant pause. And the guy next to him goes, well, I do. You know, okay, well, fine, whatever. And I finally said, well, if you're talking about Yeshua HaMashiach, yeah. I said, his mama never called him Jesus. And just, I was so disturbed, not only by his question, but my response. And I'm planning, give me some counsel here. I'm planning on going back to him and saying, I want to explain to you why I hesitated the other day. Because for you just come and kind of flippantly ask me that question, I really kind of felt it offensive, because you've known me. You've watched me for the last couple of years that we've been playing together. You think you need to ask me that question? Because if you do, then it's evident that my life is not what I think I'm trying to live here. Because I don't want to have Jesus in my heart. I want to have the fullness of God in my whole life. He affects everything. And if you haven't seen that in me, then I have some real issues with myself that I need to go deal with.
Reminds me, I'm going down memory lane today. We had just come out of the church system, and let me just pause here real quick. You say a flippant Christian; it could also be a flippant Hebrew.
Oh yeah,
Messianic.
Yeah,
Hebrew roots person.
Yeah,
anybody in their walk can be flippant and casual or non-impact. Okay. We went, I just came out. We'd only been out of the denomination that we came out of for about 30 days. And I'm going with a small group to our first Sukkot. Never done Sukkot before. So we were going Sukkoting for the first time.
That's right.
And we're down in your end of the state, around Boone. And we come to a particular intersection. And at the light, there is a man sitting in the median strip, laid back up in his chair with a microphone hanging up right here, and somebody has set up a speaker. And the man in the intersection, the word of God says that ye must be born again. Turn or burn, brother. And then he goes to preaching this fundamentalist, hardline, turn or burn, heaven or hell, something other, to anybody who is stuck at the traffic light and has their windows down. Now, the guy who's running the sound is sitting back nodding his head like, preach it, brother. Just hallelujah, hallelujah. And I'm thinking, as I watched that, again, I was only 30 days out of where we came from. I got a pie in the face effect of that's what it was like. That's what I sounded like. And I looked at the faces as people were rolling up the windows.
Yeah.
And hurrying to get through the traffic light. Nobody was pulling over on the side of the road, weeping, falling on their face and saying, please, sir, show me how to be saved.
Yeah.
Now, I can't say that anybody that would have come to that particular Sukkot would have had any better response. I don't know. But let's understand this, Mike. The world in its systems and in its problems is panicked. If you're looking to a political election result to make life better for you, or education, or the economy, or you're just hoping that things are going to take a turn, they have to. I remember in 2008 when the housing bubble burst, and people that we had sold instruments and stuff to were bringing them back and asking, can you buy them back? These were men that had spent $1,000 a month on guitars and amps and sound systems and so forth, and never thought twice about it. Now they're broke because they don't have any houses to build, and they're bringing back good equipment. And the owner is saying, I can't buy it all back. I don't, number one, I don't have the money to buy it back. Number two, who's going to buy it from me?
Yeah.
And honestly, the answer was, this thing will turn around. It has to. And I remember thinking, no, it doesn't. It probably will, but it doesn't have to, because the systems of this world are doomed to ultimate failure at some point.
Yeah.
If in this world only we have hope, we're of all men most miserable. That realization is going to hit folks the harder that it comes at them. And in those days, somebody has got to have a smile on their face, light in their eyes, an expectation that goes beyond resolve of man's mechanics, and have an answer. And it cannot be, well, you just need to get saved. You talking about causing somebody to shut you down. You need to have a better answer than the religious verbiage. When people ask you, why, how can you have hope? What are you going to say?
So what I'm hearing, Barry, your answer to me is, from the first question, is basically this: just live your life and wait for somebody to say, I've got some issues. I mean, the being a part of their life, letting them know that occasionally, if you hear they have something that's going on in their life, I'm praying for you. I just wanted you to know I was praying for you. Something like that. But the pushiness, it's the whole thing of answering questions that nobody's asking. The easiest way to have somebody shut you down is to provide an answer for a question that they've never asked you. That's basically an arrogance. That's that flippant thing. We need to find out what a person needs in their life, and it's called work. I mean, developing relationships with people, especially people that don't believe like you do. Somebody, wants to take you out for lunch for a pork chop or something. How do you explain all this? What do you do? How do you go through all this stuff? Developing relationships with people that are really not on the same page as you are, or even in the same book, or maybe even on the same planet. That's going to take time and effort. And I unfortunately, most people don't want to spend the time or give the effort.
I'm thinking of your friend that's having skin cancer surgery. That will probably be outpatient.
Yeah.
But you checking up on them within 24 hours of that surgery. Just wanted to touch base with you, make sure you were doing okay. Or if someone is in need and you know it, you show up. They don't care what you say until you show how much you care for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you can say whatever you want. You can wear whatever theme on your t-shirt and hat that you want. It's when you show genuine compassion, concern, and you're a part of an answer rather than an accusation. Well, if you were born again, this wouldn't be happening to you. What you need to do is get you and your family into church.
Yeah. At my church, by the way, and there's the offering plate as you walk in the door. That doesn't work real well with people. So this whole thing about being a part of somebody's life. Someone asked me years ago, what was the most they were just talking. This was a lot of years ago. We were talking about ministry and various things, and about witnessing our faith. And I said to them, the probably the most damaging thing I ever did to my ability to speak to people regarding Messiah, regarding my faith, is I went into ministry. I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because the moment somebody says, well, what do you do for a living? I will I will try to come up with something, but I don't tell people I'm in ministry right away. Because as I was talking with someone the other day, I said, the moment I do, I have to dig a hole. I have to start putting dirt into a hole that every other pastor that's ever, or television evangelist or whoever. I mean, how many times have you said to somebody, you're in ministry, and the next person they bring up is Jim Baker? It happens. Well, I remember what Swagger did. I mean, come on, give me a break. Or, what about that guy down in Texas, that Osteen guy? Boy, he's got millions of dollars and all this stuff. It's like, well, I ain't him. Okay, see this hair? I ain't him. I wouldn't comb my hair like he does. It just, and you have to dig out. So it's something that's been a frustration through the last almost 30 years now, is that you and I, Barry, can never meet a person on level ground. We never meet someone that's, just somebody that just comes into our life. Somebody's introduced us to someone. We never meet someone on level ground. Because the moment that you and I say, answer the question, well, what do you do? And we say, well, I'm in ministry, I'm a pastor. All of a sudden, everything that's ever been done to them in religion, their Sunday school teacher yelled at them. The nursery director poked them with a diaper pin. Everything that's ever happened to them in a religious aspect is now thrown upon you. And you have to, first of all, start shoveling dirt and trying to get back up to this place. I'm not complaining, folks. I'm not complaining. I just want people to understand that this idea of how do we witness to people is complicated today. It's probably more complicated than it's ever been because of flippancy, because of hypocrisy, name the whole thing. But that doesn't mean we don't still try to be a part of people's lives so we can make an impact in the end.
Telling someone, I've on a plane or something, some general public place, what do you do? I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
Oh, what school do you teach at? Well, I don't teach at school. I have a small group of folks that I teach scripture to.
Yeah.
And my vantage point is the first 5 books is the key to understanding everything else. So, if you want to understand everything, you have to understand the first 5 books, because that's the key that unlocks everything else. They kind of look at you, they'll scratch their chin, because I'm thinking in my mind, you didn't come across with all of this paraphernalia and stuff earlier in our conversation. Why didn't you tell me this, so I would have changed my language or changed the subject or whatever? Yeah. But sometimes I podcast. I have an online teaching thing that I do. I have a group of people locally that I work with. If they push, so you're a pastor. Well, Yeah, I'm a shepherd type guy. Yeah, I lead a congregation.
Hmm.
But I'm doing what you're doing, what you're talking about. I'm trying to diffuse present or previously understood ideas about titles and so forth. I'm honored to be a shepherd and
Oh,
pastor of the people in my congregation.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't back up
it's
about
not that
that.
we're embarrassed about what we do. It's just that there's a what you and I think this is true with all of us that are trying to witness. If you're, if the first thing you do is, well, I live by the Torah of Moshe, and people are like, okay, who, what?
Oh, so you're Jewish.
Yeah.
now,
Oh, God,
now
yeah, I
we got
got.
another boat to row.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, no, not exactly. Okay, now we got to go into all kinds of things. That takes you to other places there, but yeah, it's a crazy thing. But every one of us needs to learn how to approach people and talk to people in a way that is not offensive. Your message may offend them in the end, but we need to figure out how not to be offensive while doing it.
Sometimes I tell people I'm a motivation speaker,
Hmm.
and I utilize my motivations come from the first 5 books of the Bible.
There you go. I'm going to steal that one.
You're welcome, Mike. You're welcome. Tell your golf buddy. I just want to know, do you have the 10 words locked up into your spirit?
There you go. And I'll yeah, and quit playing on Shabbat. Mm,
Folks, live your life out loud.
yeah,
If you have Yeshua living within you, notify your face. Put a smile on your face. Be a pleasant person in public. When you go through the Walmart checkout line, I don't use self check unless I absolutely have to, because I want to engage human beings. And it gives me a chance, among other reasons, to stand in front of a live human being that may not be acting as if they are alive. And if they don't ask me how I am, hey, how you doing? I ask them, hey, how you doing? And they look up and there's, their zombie state, and I'm smiling at them with a big bright look in my face. Hi, how are you?
mm.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that.
I guess I got to switch over, Barry, because I've been doing the checkout line, the self check. That little screen that's up above it. I've been smiling at the guy in there.
Mike, you're already born again. You need to find somebody else. Yeah, I have my reasons, but engaging people in public, smiling, offering to lend a hand, open a door. They drop something, you pick it up for them,
Yep.
smile. Hey, have a pleasant day. Can I put away your buggy for you? Your shopping cart for those who may not be from the South. Your buggy.
That's all right.
Whatever you can do. If people have encountered gruff enough,
Yeah.
they need life.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, hey, Zoom's about to cut us off, so enjoyed it, Barry, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks for watching. Share on your social media pages. Send your questions, your comments. We'd love to see them. Until next week. Shalom, y'all.